Guess what? It's beehive time. I have just a couple things to share with you. Today is going to be Tannenbaum Day. So we are on to row 3. And just so you have a heads up, because I was informed by a subscriber to Quilt Roadies. Thank you for all of those people out there who are helping each other. She left a comment that, in fact, on Laundry Basket Quilt site under the tab support. I love that she uses support instead of mistake. But there are a few support issues for the Tannenbaum quilt. There is a change or an adjustment in block 5 or row 5, row 8, and row 10. So for those of you who are moving ahead, be sure you go to the Laundry Basket site and take a look at those adjustments to the pattern. For me, no problem. I am on row 3, and row 3 is that whole checkerboard 9-patch area right here, and so that's where you are, where I am, where you are. Who knows where you are, but I'm right here on row 3. And it's interesting because this takes me back to my early days of quilting. I'm so used to that chain cutting and piecing, and here it's very much like we used to cut. So one of the first steps, I read it 3 times because I was like, what? I have to cut out 46 1.5-inch squares to sew together for this 9-patch, and I'm used to cutting, sewing big strips and then cutting and then nesting and doing 9-patch that way. But since this is scrappy, I guess we're doing it one block at a time. Oh, this is so much fun. Repeat after me. This is so much fun. But before I get started on that, I got a couple pieces of mail. One is, look at this cute box. Isn't that cute? My friend Colleen sent some vegan chocolate. Oh yes. I'm gonna wait to actually dig into it. Well, let's just maybe take a look, huh? We don't actually have to eat it yet, huh? But it came with ice packs, although the ice packs were no, oh, look at how, oh, and they're labeled. Oh, how beautiful. So there's the flavors, and there's the chocolate. Man, you can smell that coming off of there. But I will wait to share these with G. He'll appreciate that. So, but this is such a pretty ribbon too on there. Okay, and then the second box that came, I know I'm trying to get this back the way it was so he won't know that I was already digging around in there. I can remember my mom when she used to get a box of C's candy, she'd press the bottom of them in to see what kinds they were. That's before they added the charts to the lids. And then I got a box from my girlfriend Becky. She lives in Minnesota and Arizona. And if you go back onto the Quilt Roadie videos, when I went to the Addict and the quilt show that was in Mesa, that was with her. And she is, oh, I'm so lucky, so lucky, so lucky. Not only, well, she has a list of crafts that she does. Quilting, cross stitch, you name it. Those little diamond paintings with little dots of shiny things. I'm not sure what that's called. But oh, she is also a card maker extraordinaire. And look at that. Oh, I got a pack of her cards. And each one is a creation all by itself. The hard part about this is they're so gorgeous that, oh my gosh, they're so gorgeous that you don't want to send them to anybody. Is that kind of selfish or what? But, oh, there's happy birthday, Anna. Oh, how fun. Oh, how fun, how fun. Oh, look at, oh, little trick-or-treat yummy bags. And I know she made those bags. Those little treat bags. Oh, oh, and there's more chocolate. More chocolate. Now let's see. Did she go to the store and buy me a birthday card? Or did she make me a birthday card? Oh, 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 oh. Happy birthday, happy Halloween. Can't you just see that in a cross stitch or a wool quilt pattern? Oh, hope your day, oh look at, day is crossed out and it says month, because you know that's what I do. Hope your month brings just what it should, happiness, health, and everything good. Oh, how wonderful, how wonderful. And, oh my gosh, there's even more goodies. Ooh, I love these. Oh, 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 oh. Look at the cute little box. You know, I know she made those cute little boxes. Oh, how fun. Well, I'm going to have one of these because I need to have one in order to cut out 46 green 1.5-inch squares. And that's just the green ones, not the cream ones. Thank you so much. Oh, that really yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm going to put my card right there. So now, back to cutting. I won't make you watch me cut all 46 of the green and 46 of the green and 46 of the light and 10 of the red and then half square triangles. I love this quilt. I love this quilt. Repeat after me. We love this quilt. Well, I've got the sun shining on me, coming through, although it's freezing cold outside and the wind is blowing. I hope you keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers that are in the fire zone. I know my sister, who lives in Napa, has been in and out of power. she's had, the PG&E has shut off her power a few times, and you just can't imagine, you can't even conceptualize what that is like for a company to shut off your power. I mean, you can't charge cell phones, your food goes bad in the refrigerator. It's challenging. And I also have a cousin down in Southern California that's a mile from the Santa Clarita fire, and she has been on standby for evacuation. So I'm hoping and praying hard that they all fare well, and that they don't lose their homes like so many people have. I have been spending my time cutting out my piles. You saw the little piles, there's tons of them. And so now we're going on to sewing row 3. And you know, I may have complained a bit about all of this cutting and how I'm just so used to chain piecing and strip cutting, you know, those techniques that came along in recent years. But there is something very zen about this project. To concentrate on one block at a time is it kind of slows your pace down a bit. And so I will be starting my block sewing now. But just so you know that probably I won't get this row done in today. That this video will be more like a vlog style where I'll pick it up again tomorrow to finish the row. Because this is an awful lot of sewing, and it's getting, as you can tell, the sun is starting to come down a bit. And yeah, so let's get sewing. Well, I have another tip for you. If you're like me and you kind of like things matchy matchy a little bit, I decided that I noticed that there were 2 main blocks to this center, each containing 4 9 patches. And so I decided just to go ahead and lay out my 9 patches. And I'm glad I did, because I was short, because I was just scrapping it up, and when I cut it, I was short just about 3 or 4 squares to complete kind of a matchy 9 patch. And so I'm glad I laid this out on a grid, and then I'll deal with the triangle ends after I get all of these 1.5 inch squares sewed together. Stay tuned. Sorry for the shadows. It's just lighting from outside, and it's putting me in the shadow. But what I'm doing is I am just kind of chain piecing in my own way with the half square triangle. I'm not the half square triangle, the 9 patches. And as I am pulling them off, when I add the next one, I finger press it. So I'm not doing a lot of getting up and down until after the 9 patches together, then I'll press it with the... So I am kind of chain piecing. I got 1 9 patch done. Then I'm just laying it there. And I'm moving on to this next one. because there's so many pieces and they're so small, I am using a scant 1/4 inch. And on these final, when I do the final pressing for the 9 patch, I do press those last 2 seams open. Just because of my own liking it to do it. So we'll be picking up these 9 patches tomorrow, and we'll continue on with row 3. Well, here I am continuing to work on row 3. I forgot what row I am. And let me tell you, this is a labor-intensive row. And I'll tell you how I had to work on it for my own brain. You might not have an issue with this, but I definitely had an issue with this row. And the only way I could deal with it is by laying it out. All these 1.5 inch squares and then the half square triangles, I decided I was going to lay them out and then somewhat chain piece them as I went along. I did set my sewing machine at a scant 1/4 inch because, you know, when you're putting this many pieces together, it's very easy to lose your seam allowance and your piece becoming not fitting the next piece. So I kept my sewing machine at a scant 1/4 inch, and then I laid it all out. I made the 2 big 9 patch blocks. There's 2 blocks which are 4 9 patches to make up the block. I laid those all out and I made those up. And then I started working on the big half square triangle that was made up of a whole bunch of 1.5 inch squares and half square triangles. And I've laid them out, and I'm kind of glad I took the effort to lay it out because I wanted my color distribution, and I didn't want to end up with all the same print next to each other. So by laying it out, I was able to do that. So I have this section so far done, and now I'm working on the other side of this triangle piece right now. And then once that is sewn together, I will have row 3 done. Now I do know that because of my schedule the next couple weeks, I will not be getting to row 4, which looks very manageable, until I get back after Halloween. And so, and then the row after that is that applique. And that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the applique row is actually row 5, which has an addendum on the support link on Laundry Basket Quilt's site. So you're going to want to go check that before you cut that out, because there was an adjustment then to the pattern. So now I'm going to go ahead and start sewing this together. And what I tried to do when I was sewing my pieces together is to try to nest them as much as I could, and then I finger press them with my fingernail until I got the 9 patch together, and then I pressed it with the iron. And I'm telling you, I pressed it. I didn't iron it, because it is very easy on these little pieces to get your fabric all stretched out. So be sure to be very cognizant of that you want to just press and not iron. And it helped me when I was putting the little 9 patches together to just fingernail press them open as I nested them and sewed them. If that makes any sense at all. Well, I'm not going to bore you with this continued chain piecing, but I'm going to keep piecing along, and then I will show you how I put it all together. Well, I survived. I survived row 3. Definitely I suggest laying your pieces out, especially that corner triangle on both sides. It is so easy to flip and sew the wrong edge. And I think the only reason that didn't happen to me is I had it all laid out, and on those outside triangles, I sewed them one step at a time. And then I finger pressed, and then I sewed the next piece on. I did not trust myself that I wouldn't be ripping out, and there is nothing worse than ripping out a 1.5 inch square, because it can easily become a 1 inch square. So I am glad to have row 3 done. When I look at this pattern, which it's absolutely gorgeous, it looks like row 3 was the most labor intensive. All the other rows, knock on wood, look pretty doable. And so I'm glad that I have that behind me. And it looks like it's going to fit perfectly, like I only have that 1/4 inch seam on either end to the row 2 row. And so I anticipate that it is going to go together perfectly. I really am liking it. I hope those of you that are doing it also are having a good time. But don't forget, there are adjustments to the pattern on the laundry basket site on row 5, 8, and 10. So be sure that you take a look at that before you start cutting. I am a little bit worried, because I know some of you changed the background and I did not. I am keeping that directional fabric, so I have to really pay attention when I get to cutting that background fabric so that it is all going the same way. Well, thank you for hanging in there while we tackled row 3. When later in November I will be tackling row 4. Maybe I'll do 4 and 5 together, because 5, I know some of you are actually going to do the needle turn, but since I bought the kit, I'm going to do the fusible fusible applique. So I might do the next 2 rows in one sitting, so we shall see. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Hope you have a great end of the October, and we'll see you in November.
Thanks for watching.
And be sure to like and subscribe on Quilt Roadies.